I need some like gore, blood splatter, and just like some fun sometimes and stuff.
No, I didn't. But listen, you did.
Drive-by Movies, you're watching.
Fresh releases.
My name is Blaze.
And my name is James.
And this week, we're talking the brand new film to Netflix, Day Shift.
Vampires. They're the amongst us. And all they are is murderers. It's not Eclipse, New Moon, Breaking Dawn, Part 1. It ain't like that, all right?
Why do you know the names to all the specific Twilight films?
What?
And what's your gripe with Breaking Dawn Part 2? It's the exciting conclusion of the whole Twilight saga.
Welcome to the day.
Netflix's new film Day Shift is about a hardworking blue-collar dad who just wants to provide a good life for his quick-witted 8-year-old daughter. His mundane San Fernando Valley pool cleaning job is a front for his real source of income: hunting and killing Nazis. Or, I'm sorry, vampires. I just felt like saying killing Nazis like Brad Pitt and Inglourious Bastards. So, yeah, we were going to check out Incantation, another Netflix movie. That review is still coming. But we're like, well, this one's newer. Let's check out this movie. And I got so pissed when I was like, a Netflix movie. Netflix has been cranking some crap the past few, I guess it's been like a year, honestly. There's not really like a Netflix movie that I thoroughly enjoyed. And coincidentally, Vampires in the Bronx was just okay, but that was like the last one I somewhat enjoyed. And here we are with another vampire movie. Before I get into my thoughts, what are your initial thoughts?
So I'm glad that you did mention Vampires in the Bronx, because I did feel this was along the same lines. I do think that I kind of have a feeling how you feel about the movie, but for me, I felt like it was a really enjoyable, fun, like stupid movie to watch. It was, and honestly, it's a travesty that you can't watch this movie in theaters, because I feel like this is the crowd pleasing movie. Maybe it's not like ready for theaters or anything, but I do feel like this movie would be a lot more fun in theaters, because it just has all these moments in it that make it feel like, you know, a theatrical film. It basically, you know, just cracking open a beer, watching this movie with some popcorn. I don't see anything wrong with doing that on a Netflix Friday night or Thursday, or maybe even a Tuesday. I don't know what Netflix is relegated to these days anymore. But yeah, I thought it was very enjoyable. It reminded me of old movies like Fright Night, or like, but with the modern twist, essentially like Fright Night, or even The Lost Boys, which they reference a ton in this movie. But it does go. There's these section of movies that go for something like vampires, and there's so many vampire movies to date that if you're gonna go for it, just go for it. And I feel like they went for it, where they're creating all these like weird vampire classes and rules about vampire that kind of deviate from the original old school rules, while kind of still being, you know, tied to the old school rules, not obviously the Twilight rules or anything like that. And they even make references to that at times. But yeah, I felt like if you're gonna go for it, just go for it. Don't play it cool or try and be over super serious. And this is just a really silly, it felt like a fun time. But yeah, go for it.
No, 100% agree. I mean, that's honestly exactly what I was going to say. A lot of Netflix movies I've just really hated, and I'm going to reference The Gray Man, a movie that's overly complicated. Like, a lot of people are like, just shut your brain off. It's a good time. I'm like, no, this movie's trying to call me an idiot. Like, they're explaining what a gray man is, and like, oh, there's a whole section of underground criminals or CIA agents that are off the map that not even like the CIA knows about. I don't give a crap. Like, I'm just making up words when I'm describing this gray man. But this movie is just like, I can believe that there's suntan lotion that protects you from the sun. I can believe an underground world that secretly pays bounty on collecting vampire teeth. That's badass. Like John Wick, it didn't treat its audience dumb. It just gives you clues and introducing you to a world like, okay, that makes sense. They have a whole different currency, whole different lifestyle that's mixed into our world. But like, it's not overly explaining it. I mean, of course, in the other sequels, they kind of get a little way too detailed with it.
Yeah.
But with this, though, I just appreciated, this is the definition of just a fun, dumb, interesting, exciting movie. And this is kind of what I wanted to see more of out of Prey. Prey had the grittiness, the great story, but I was like, I need some like gore, blood splatter, and just like some fun sometimes and stuff, and enjoy seeing people get killed. And this movie, it's not going to be like that memorable, but I'd rewatch this movie. Like, it's got nothing on The Lost Boys that you said. From Dusk Till Dawn is going to, even though that's a new movie I just saw within the recent past 2 years, I'd say that one's like the better of the two, and this one's trying to capture that kind of style or vibe. But like, I was actually very impressed with this movie. J.J. Perry, I saw that like he has a lot of actor work, but I think this is his directorial debut for a feature film, at least. Not sure if he's directed any TV shows, but I know that this is his first feature-length film, and movie looks great color-wise. Cinematography, there's some fun drone shots again, but yeah, it was an enjoyable ride.
I did wonder, like, when I was seeing those drone shots, especially in the LA River, I did wonder, like, okay, this is about like the 5th movie we've seen drone shots this year. I'm like, when are we going to get tired of that, or will it just become the new normal? I didn't feel like it was overdone in this movie. Like, I did feel like Ambulance, obviously it's overdone. It's Michael Bay. Gray Man, they tried and just, they didn't hit the sweet spot. This one, I think, hit the sweet spot where it was utilized in certain scenes effectively, but it was not in every single scene.
Yeah, it was only for the car chase scenes, I believe. Yeah,
and I thought that worked really well. One of the things I think worked the best about this film that I don't think anyone really is going to talk about. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to talk about this movie. I feel like we're probably the only people going to talk about this movie. I think everyone just focuses on the big releases. And while I don't feel like this is a big release, I think it should be, because it does fire on enough cylinders that I think people should get their eyes on it. But kind of what I was saying was, I think that the action cinematography and a lot of the action set pieces were the best thing about this film. And you mentioned J.J. Perry. He actually started and, built his career on being a stunt work guy. Okay. So that's kind of where he comes from. It was cool to see Scott Adkins, who's like a prolific actor, especially in martial arts films, and not any of the best movies, but it's fun to see him whenever we get a chance, because he's usually in films that are the like martial arts movies that are like straight to DVD. So it's kind of cool to see him in a big budget movie every once in a while, because there's an action 80s documentary that talked, I think it's called The Action Heroes or something, and he's like heavily featuring it because he is such a big fan of like action movies. But now like action movies are just straight to DVD, so he's kind of like now in just all these shitty movies, but he seems like a really good guy. I don't know, just has a lot of respect for the movies and all the films that kind of made him who he was. But anyways, yeah, I think that the stunt work in this movie is really well done. A lot of the action scenes are taken wide. It's not super annoying like The Gray Man or any movie that's trying to be like a Bourne film and like over edited, overshot to shit where you just can't really even tell what's going on. All the action scenes are really played for action, as well as the great stunt work that's on display. But even the comedy in the action scenes is really well done. Honestly, a lot of people say, this movie reminded me of like a Jackie Chan movie. I hear that all the time nowadays, which doesn't make any sense half the time, but I felt like this movie literally reminded me of a Jackie Chan movie at times.
Yeah, no, I was really impressed with the wire work, and the scene that stands out for me is the fight scene with the twins. Scott Adkins, I don't think I've seen any movies with him, but I've always known him as like a direct to DVD guy who's in movies called like Navy SEAL Team 6, Dead by Dawn, or something like that. Just weird movies like that you see at Redbox and like are on Tubi and stuff. And I know he's had a successful career with those movies, but seeing him play along with like Jamie Foxx and Dave Franco, who I was impressed with. I thought they had pretty fun chemistry within this movie. And like, even though Dave Franco, I know that he's kind of been doing more of the director's chair stuff with TV shows and had his directorial debut a couple years ago as well too. It was fun to see him back back inside of a poncho. I was like, is that just his normal wardrobe, or is he just that work for his character in the movie? It's just funny to see him wear a suit, and then in the final vampire killing scene, he's in just a casual poncho that I swear I've seen him in like a bunch of other movies. But yeah, I thought like it was cool seeing him in a comedic role again, and it worked well, and like the stakes are there too. I don't understand why it had to be a week to get the money necessarily before they moved to Florida, but you know, it sets the groundwork and stuff and gets the plot going and creates like some tension, like I need to get this money ASAP and right now. So, you know, like there's little things like that were like annoying, but you know, I didn't judge this movie too much when it's overall just a fun action movie. And like a scene like that abandoned house that they went into with the hive of vampires, like that's a scene I would just like rewatch, and like I can imagine that clip being uploaded to YouTube and just people going back and forth to rewatch that scene just because it really stood out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. That was one thing that I think going into this movie, I had heard that, you know, it's done by a guy who worked on John Wick. We've heard that so many times. There was actually another movie this weekend that came out that was done by a guy who worked on John Wick, but kind of a bigger role, I guess you could say. But anyways, yeah, like it's funny that this movie had some crazy action sequences that didn't feel like they overused CGI to sell the point, and you know, went for a super self-serious kind of thing. They did this fun thing that felt like it really harkened back to the 80s films that were these action comedies that were just a ton of fun. Maybe this film, you know, didn't work for some people because it's too silly or it's trying to be too much of a vampire movie while changing the rules. But I think if you're gonna go stupid, just go full stupid, and this movie did it, and I thought that it worked very well at that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad to see also Jamie Foxx, just like he was I know of course he's got the Oscar for Ray, but just like seeing a movie like Django Unchained, of course I assume people take any movie that Quentin Tarantino offers to them, but you know, that's like fun that he took like a blaxploitation film and then takes a movie like this that has that grindhouse feel, like you said, an 80s throwback without having to do like, you know, flashy songs created by like some synth band and stuff that's just over the top or have the crazy neon lights. It's just a modern looking movie, but just definitely inspired by the right stuff, and it works well. So yeah, like if you didn't like it, like I'm curious what about it you didn't like. Let us know in the comments, but overall I enjoyed it, and if you want to talk about it, leave a comment down below. That helps support the show after checking out through Netflix.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And speaking of updates, be sure to catch all our updates for other social media sites like Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok in our description box below. Anyways, guys, that'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new episode of Fresh Releases.